Thank you for finding some time for yourself. And before you begin this wonderful experience of healing, I want you to know from one caring soul to another caring soul that at any time in this safe space, you will be in complete control to pause or end this session at any stage you choose. Now I'd like your permission to close your eyes, but only when you're ready, and in a very controlled way. Take a breath in and a relaxing breath out, aware of your chest rising and falling as you begin to experience this experience. Now I wonder if you can refine the art of relaxation in a very controlled and refined way. Controlled breath in, relaxing breath out, aware of your chest rising and falling as you experience this experience. And I don't know the last time you were reminded you can stretch out your elegant spine. Your shoulders can relax in a deliberate and controlled way as you create this wonderful, safe experience for yourself. And in a moment, I want you to create a safe space inside yourself. Maybe you can call it a control room or an escape hatch. Somewhere there can be a dial where you can turn up the dial, the pleasant sensations to 10 out of 10, or turn them down to 0 out of 10, okay? And some clients choose their little fingers and toes to build their control room or escape hatch. And some think of their body as a castle or a temple and like to put the control room in their tummy and put the in-laws in tiny rooms in their fingers and toes. But it's your choice. You get to choose the right, safe control room for you. And you can build walls, and you can be as creative or as basic as you choose. As you breathe in a controlled way, relaxing breath out. Aware of your chest rising and falling. Now wonder if you can again expand this experience to your long, elegant spine. shoulders deliberately relaxing, beginning to be absorbed as you choose in this experience. And if you could head on down to your control room now, I want you to check that the dial is working. If you could turn up the dial to this experience to 10 out of 10 now. Perfect. And turn the dial down to 5 out of 10. Fabulous. And turn the dial down to 1 out of 10. And you can adjust it to the right level for you now. And I'm not sure you're aware how calm and relaxed you are. You make the world a calmer place just by being in it. And you've managed to slow down your heart rate, your blood pressure, without me asking that of you. Thank you for being here. And I don't know if you, as a 5-year-old child, had a favorite toy, and how funny it is to think as a 5-year-old child, when the color pink or blue had such a strong meaning. And feeling lighter as a child, that happy, naive feeling that could bring so much joy to the simplest thing, like the one toy you really love. It might have been a tree stick or a doll, a toy car, the simplest thing. And as you begin to explore your favorite toy with the sensations of a 5-year-old child, with the naivety, adoring that object, the more curious you feel, the more joy it can bring. The simplest thing. So happy the toy may be pink and not blue, or blue or not pink, or something else. That wonderful feeling of owning the best toy in the whole world. And you can give yourself permission to have the lightness of laughter as a 5-year-old child. The more naive you feel can bring you even more joy. And now I want you to keep this mindset of a 5-year-old child. Make yourself a wizard so you can get your wizard's hat and maybe a cape. And if you could find a tiny crystal ball the size of a tennis ball, that would be great. And in the crystal ball, you're going to see the future that is a 5-year-old child. You see all the tiny images in the crystal ball. You find out you finally finished school. The simplest joy that brings you. And you see all the colours and images in the ball. The challenges and adversities and how you overcame them. You as a little child, so excited about the future. And I'm curious if you know that taste is one of the key modalities to healing bulimics and anorexic. People with eating disorders. And when they're sent away to healing clinics to eat correctly, they're not told they're going to eat correctly because imagine the tantrums. They're told they'll learn how to taste correctly because you can eat a shrimp or prawn and that taste is so light and it disappears. But if you eat a shrimp with a tiny bit of cherry, the taste lingers. And isn't it wonderful when you slow down to really eat a meal? And I wonder that 5-year-old child who has a favourite toy, a crystal ball, how excited that child is to see all of the exciting foods they get to eat. And you can smile at your crystal ball, at all the late night snacks, the abundance of ice cream, how exciting the future is for the little child. And I wonder if you can feel the saliva in your mouth change at the thought of the delicious life, the delicious future you've created. And the little child's sense of smell, so naive, with things like, that stinks, and maybe only one other scent like the smell of candy. Such a naive sense of smell. And maybe you're aware that when experiments were done at casinos with a fragrant scent, that 45% of people stopped playing the slot machines. Or if you told that 5-year-old child, if you made a boardroom or meeting room smell of the cleaning product lemon, people are more likely to clean up after themselves. How wonderful a naive sense of smell can be. Just candy and that stink. And the TV jingles you heard as a child, or on the radio, that would just make you jump up and down with excitement, or hearing your best friend's name. and almost all those other sounds were silent. The naive sounds to play, dance, or sleep. And isn't it interesting how crystal balls have a shield? And your crystal ball has all the right sounds for a 5-year-old to hear. All the right smells and images. Your integrity to make a safe space for the 5-year-old child. And I'm going to tell you a story. At first, you may wonder why I tell it to you. But as you pay closer attention, become absorbed about the story, I think you'll discover something valuable that might be of help to you. And snoring doesn't bother most couples or most people. But sometimes clients can get so worked up about their partner snoring. And there's a technique we use in hypnosis where we count backwards from 5 to 1 and say to the client on the count of 1 to imagine you're in bed with your partner snoring beside you. We ask them to experience the feelings that they experience. And while they imagine their partner snoring beside them, some say they feel frustration, irritation, or anger. And then we count backwards from 10 to 1 and ask our clients to take themselves back to when they were first angered by their partner snoring. And for some clients, they think, here we go again. And often our feelings come from how we experience the world. And maybe anger comes from being treated unfairly. But these clients have associated the feeling of anger with their partner snoring in bed, when in reality the fact their partner stirs them in bed has no negative feelings at all. As a matter of fact, they can ignore it. The only meaning that their partner snoring next to them has is their partner is with them. They are together. Life is okay. In fact, the partner snoring can remind them that everything is okay, that they are safe and comfortable in bed. And from then on, they're only reminded of how comfortable things are, how safe things are. And every time their partner snores, you can help them sleep better, a better sleep. So safe and comfortable. And then we hypnotists check by asking if their subconscious mind has accepted the new information. And there's another story you might find of value. hypnotist, psychologist, and leading author on depression, Michael Yapko just loves giving his clients homework assignments. And one client really believed and assumed that everyone else was happy, but she wasn't. And everyone else's life was easy, but hers wasn't. And on and on. She never tried anything new. She was exceptionally dull. She would assume she knew everything without actually checking how things really were. And to make a point, Yapko told her, "You know, you assume way too much about things, at the expense of actually checking out whether things are as you think they are." So to make the point, Yapko said, "Have you tried the spring trail? It sounds beautiful. Can you imagine in the nearby state park? Beautiful fields, mountains, springs over rocky terrain. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it?" And the day he saw her take this hike, she was by far the most animated she had been since they had met. And she found herself filled with expectation. She finally reached the destination and found only a small pipe, dripping water out of a mould of dirt, labelled spring. And she thought to herself, why would Yapko send her on such a disappointing trail? And on the way back, she realised she had set up the wall as something so spectacular in her mind. And by doing so, she realised it made her think that things were worse than they really were. And the client decided to begin to find the true value in what things really were. And it reminds me of the founder of NLP, Richard Bandler, sharing a story about his relatives when he was very young. That when his relatives would buy new floors for their house, new carpet, they would then put plastic walkways across it. And people weren't allowed to step off the plastic walkway. And his other relatives that would buy a piano and lock it so no one would have to clean the key. Maybe they should have just lived inside a photograph, so they didn't have to clean anything. And then he came across a client who found his advice very useful. This woman, if she saw a footprint in the carpet in her home, her response was a gut negative feeling. In the gut, she would rush off to get the vacuum cleaner and vacuum the carpet immediately. She was a professional housewife. She had actually vacuumed the carpet 3 to 7 times per day. She spent all of her time trying to get everyone to enter the back door of her home. or asking guests to take off their shoes and walk lightly. And I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone who can walk lightly with no weight on their feet. And Richard Bandler says, well, if you can walk with zero weight on your feet, then you should marry this woman and live in her home. This family didn't have any juvenile delinquents or overt drug addicts. All three of her children were rooting for Leslie. They just loved her. Their family would go to dinner, vacation together. They found her only to nag about the carpet. So Richard Bandler said to her, imagine your home without a footprint in the carpet and realize that means the people you love are not at home. And now imagine putting footprints in the home. And know that the people you care about most in the world are nearby. And you can call that an intervention, or a change of strategy or anchoring. But a useful way to think about it is reframing. And you can read this story in his book called Reframing. And reframing is when the stimulus of the world doesn't change, but its meaning changes. And isn't it wonderful to think of this 5-year-old child thinking of this woman with plastic all over her home, you with your favourite toy, the simplest of things, or a wizard with your crystal ball, so distant from today, so excited about the future. Now if you can polish and shine that tiny crystal ball and really make it child-friendly, and everything's so tiny in the crystal ball and so far away that it's so easy to polish and shine it. And as you find it easy, you can become more connected to your sincerity of preparing a future for that 5-year-old child. And what if the child and crystal ball were inside a crystal ball? And you were to experience double disassociation. And to quote Henry Ford, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. And the life you have and the car you drive now, the little child in the crystal ball playing with its favourite toy car, or a tree stick or a doll, holding a crystal ball, looking into the future. And sometimes we can learn so much from children. Their honesty that something can stink, or they want candy now, or that's mine and that's yours. The wonderful perspective it can bring. to look through a child's eyes or the eyes of an artist. So many different perspectives. From learning how to draw a stick figure to something in 2D, to something like a photo from a different perspective. And sometimes it's easy to forget how focused you are. Your ability to focus with intense concentration, without me asking that of you. That's how fabulous you are. Your ability to create a safe future with intense focus for the 5-year-old child. And there are so many aspects to life. As a colleague, a parent, a child, a grandparent, a son or daughter, niece or nephew, a cousin, a friend, a CEO or something else. The gut feeling of I'm hungry as a child. The gut feeling for a taxation audit as a CEO. The gut feeling of finding something very, very funny. That you almost have tears, it's so funny. And how funny it can be that dinner's still not ready yet for the 5-year-old child. How funny a taxation audit can be for a CEO, that you almost have tears, is always available for you. To enjoy, isn't it? And sometimes in life you can't not find life funny, can't you? Especially if you choose to look through life as a 5-year-old child. And you always had this child within you, creating a future for them. And won't it be wonderful to know in the future you can choose to bring with you a new sense of smell, taste, or perspective, and some reactions we can't control, even as adults today, like the smell of candy. And as a child, you fell over many times and stood back up. You tried to stand thousands of times before you could. Stand proud. Trust you could stand up. And things won't always be perfect, except when they are. And they will be. And it was Yoda in Star Wars, with the power of his mind, had a spaceship levitate out of a swamp, using the power of his mind. And the Jedi Luke Skywalker said, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it." And Yoda responded to the Jedi, "That's why you failed." And as a 5-year-old, you knew you had a Jedi mind, as a wizard staring into the crystal ball, excited about the future. And when you're ready to reorient back to your external world, you can wriggle your fingers and toes, stretch out, and open your eyes. Welcome back. You're perfect, just as you are.